Quiet now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. You're going to dance until your feet fall off. You're not able to stand up any longer. But we're going to have a show.
Welcome to the Pink Door Podcast. Imagine having exactly 6 days to make $1 million decision.
I mean, that's just completely terrifying.
Oh, it is absolutely terrifying. No time to sleep on it, no time to bring in your contractor uncle to check out the foundation.
Yeah, definitely no time for that.
And certainly no time to casually browse your options. You basically walk in, you look around, and you bet your entire financial future before the weekend is over.
Which is a huge gamble for anyone to take.
Right. But that is the reality of the Kingston, Massachusetts real estate market this May. So today, we are doing a deep dive into the underlying mechanics driving this absolute frenzy.
And we really have some solid numbers to back this up.
We do. We're pulling from two major sets of data today. We've got the official May 2026 RPR Market Trends Report, and we also have a highly granular MLS sales survey that's focused specifically on single-family homes in Kingston.
Yeah, and the goal here is to help you understand not just the raw numbers, but the real-world stories behind the sales happening right in your backyard.
Exactly. Because before we look at individual homes, we really need to understand the overarching climate that buyers and sellers are walking into right now.
Right, the macro view.
Yeah.
And to set the baseline here, if you're stepping into Kingston right now, you are stepping into an extreme seller's market.
Like, beyond extreme, honestly.
Yeah, it is a market operating on almost unprecedented velocity. And the foundational metric that dictates literally everything else we're going to discuss today is the month's supply of inventory.
Right, the inventory.
Yeah. So in a balanced, healthy market where buyers and sellers have relatively equal negotiating power, you'd expect to see about 4 to 6 months of inventory sitting on the market.
Right, which gives people choices.
Exactly. But in Kingston, for May, that number plummeted to 1.36 months.
Honestly, a 1.36-month supply is staggering on its own.
It really is.
But the trend line is what really jumps out to me. Like, that represents a 25.3% drop in available inventory just from the previous month.
A quarter of the market just gone in 30 days?
Gone. It feels less like a traditional real estate market and more like, I don't know, high-frequency trading.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Well, I was thinking about it like a game of musical chairs.
Okay, I like that.
You visualize this room, the music stops, and you've got dozens of buyers absolutely scrambling, and there are only 1 or 2 chairs left in the entire room.
And everyone is throwing elbows to get a seat.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this a bit. The RPR report says the median days on market is a mere 6 days.
Just 6 days.
6 days. That barely gives a buyer enough time to schedule a showing, maybe get an inspection if they're lucky. How does anyone actually navigate that?
Well, what's fascinating here is the psychological pressure cooker this creates. Because this low inventory fundamentally changes buyer behavior.
How so?
It forces lightning-fast decisions. The whole luxury of saying, let me sleep on it, let me talk to my spouse, that is entirely eliminated.
Because if you sleep on it, the house is gone.
Exactly. The mechanics of a 6-day market mean that properties are basically trading hands over a single weekend.
Wow.
A house is listed on a Thursday, the open house is on Saturday, and by Monday morning, there's a signed offer.
That is just wild. You have to be fully underwritten by your lender before you even walk through the door.
You do. And emotionally prepared to waive contingencies and ready to commit instantly. It completely removes the normal friction that usually slows down these massive financial transactions.
And when you remove that friction and you add in this level of desperation, prices naturally inflate, right?
They have to. Supply and demand.
Right. So looking at the data, the median sold price in Kingston hit $725,000 in May.
Which is up 3.35% just from last month.
Yeah, and the median estimated property value is now sitting at $737,550. That's a 7.2% increase over a rolling 12-month period.
So prices are actively climbing week by week.
They are, but here's where it gets really interesting to me. Because when you look closer at the specific sales data from the MLS survey, there's this weird mathematical paradox.
Oh, the ratios.
Yes, the ratios. I spent a long time looking at these because on the surface, they seem to conflict. Wait, here is where it gets really interesting.
Break it down for me.
Okay, so we know the market is moving in 6 days and prices are up. The median list price was $699,900. but the median sold price was $725,000.
Right, indicating things are selling for more than their asking price.
Exactly. But then you look at the sold to list price ratio for the month, and it's only 98.4%.
Which is actually down 3.29% from last month.
Right. And furthermore, the overall survey for May single-family homes shows an average sale price to original price ratio of 96%.
Yeah, I see where you're going with this.
So if the median sold price is higher than the median list price, how is the sold to list ratio under 100%? Like, are the numbers contradicting themselves?
It's a great question. And these ratios usually trip people up because they assume a hot market lifts every single property equally.
Right. A rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly. But that's not what's happening here. The market is actually splitting. You really have to separate the aggregate averages from the individual medians.
Okay, so what does that split look like?
The math here exposes a market that is fractured into two completely distinct realities. The median sold price, jumping up to $725,000, is being driven by the first reality.
Which is what?
Pristine, flawless homes. These properties hit the market and instantly ignite massive bidding wars.
Oh, okay.
And those properties are trading well over their asking prices, which pulls the median sold price for the whole market upward.
Which leaves that 96% ratio to be explained by the second reality.
You got it.
Yeah.
The second reality consists of homes that are either wildly overpriced right out of the gate or they have significant physical flaws.
Like they need a new roof or major updates.
Right. And they require capital the buyers simply don't have. So these properties sit on the market, they accumulate days, and eventually the sellers are forced into brutal, massive price cuts just to offload them.
And those price drops are so steep that they drag the overall percentage average down to that 96% mark.
Exactly. Even while the pristine homes are setting new median price records, the flawed homes are dragging the aggregate percentage down.
That makes total sense. And to really test that theory, we can pull the actual addresses from the May survey that triggered these massive bidding wars.
Let's do it. What did you find?
Well, there is a glaring commonality among them. We have 3 specific listings that completely dominated the market. First, we have 23 Bog View Road.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one in the report.
Yeah, it's a 4-bedroom colonial in Tall Timbers Estates, sitting on nearly an acre.
Beautiful area.
It is. And the listing notes a professionally landscaped yard, a heated in-ground pool, and a completely updated interior.
Turnkey.
Totally turnkey. So it was listed at $995,000. It went under agreement in 15 days and closed at $1,050,000.
So a $55,000 premium over asking.
Exactly. Then you look at 11 Bears' Way. This is a custom ranch abutting the Silver Lake Sanctuary Conservation Land. Built in 2015, beautiful open floor plan, custom stone patio.
Again, nothing needs to be done.
Nothing. Listed at $724,900, sold in 17 days for $736,000.
Right. Over asking again.
And finally, 5 Starling Avenue, a raised ranch. The remarks on this one are basically a checklist of major capital expenditures: brand new roof, new septic system, fresh interior and exterior paint.
The holy grail for a modern buyer.
It really is. Listed at $695,000, sold in 21 days for $730,000.
Wow.
So these aren't just houses, they are finished products.
Okay.
It seems like buyers are willing to bleed their budgets dry, but only if they don't have to lift a paintbrush after they move in.
You nailed it. And the mechanism driving this isn't just an obsession with aesthetics or like being lazy.
Yeah.
No, it is a direct result of current lending mechanics and the macro economy.
How does that tie in?
Well, when you factor in the broader economic environment where borrowing costs are high, buyers have way less free cash for renovations.
That makes sense. They're putting everything into the down payment.
Exactly. They are deploying every liquid dollar they have just to secure the down payment and cover the closing costs. The free cash flow that a family might have used a decade ago to renovate a kitchen or put in a pool, that cash simply does not exist for the average buyer right now.
So they are essentially looking at 5 Starling Avenue with its new septic system, and they're willing to overpay because they can roll that premium into the mortgage.
That is the exact financial maneuver taking place. A buyer cannot easily secure a secondary construction loan, and they definitely don't have 35 grand in cash sitting in checking for a new septic on day one.
Right.
But what they can do is overpay by 35 grand and roll it into a 30-year fixed mortgage. An extra 35 grand on the principal balance translates to roughly an extra couple $100 on the monthly payment.
Wow, so they are financing a convenience.
They have to. The mortgage is the only cheap, long-term capital they have access to. So they pay the turnkey premium.
Okay, so if buyers are leveraging their mortgages to the absolute limit just for the privilege of a turnkey home, it makes you wonder what kind of financial punishment they inflict on a house that actually needs work.
Oh, it is a steep penalty.
Which brings us to the flip side of this split market, the bruised and battered side of the Kingston market.
The cost of sitting on the market.
Exactly, because if you are trying to sell a house that doesn't have a new roof or a new septic or a heated pool, the data suggests you are stepping into a remarkably hostile environment.
The market is ruthlessly efficient.
Right, it's like a bruised apple at the grocery store.
Okay, I love your analogies today. Walk me through the bruised apple.
Well, if you see a pile of perfect apples and one of them has a big brown spot, you just bypass it. You don't buy the bruised apple and try to cut around the spot unless it's practically free.
Right, you just grab the shiny one.
Exactly. And in this real estate market, if a house sits for 80 days when the median is 6 days, buyers look at that and immediately assume there's a worm inside.
They absolutely do.
So what does this all mean for sellers who have a fixer-upper?
It means buyers will penalize a home that needs work far beyond the actual literal cost of the repairs.
We actually see this exact dynamic in the survey with 105R Main Street.
The investor special.
Yeah. The listing practically waves a giant red flag. It calls it an investor and rehabber special delivered vacant. It hit the market at $319,900.
Which is already pretty low for Kingston.
Super low. And it sat for 25 days, which is an eternity when the median is 6. And it closed at a shockingly low $210,000.
A drop of over $100,000.
Yeah.
That is a massive proportional loss on a $300,000 asset.
It really is. And it isn't just the extreme gut rehabs taking these hits. Look at 12 Smith's Lane.
The Victorian.
Yes, the 1900 Victorian home. It originally listed at $500,000. The sellers eventually dropped the price to $459,900.
Trying to catch a buyer.
Right, and it finally sold for $434,900. But the most telling metric here is the timeline. It languished on the market for 80 days.
Which goes back to your bruised apple point.
Exactly. What the data seems to be screaming at sellers is that the market will not just deduct the literal cost of fixing the porch or painting the trim.
No, it extracts what we call a massive headache tax.
Ooh, a headache tax. Explain that.
So, a buyer walking through a dated house doesn't look at a 1995 kitchen and deduct the, say, $20,000 it would cost to update the cabinets. They deduct $50,000.
Wow, more than double.
Right, because they are factoring in the supply chain delays for materials, the risk of opening a wall and finding asbestos.
Oh, man, yeah, asbestos is a nightmare.
Exactly. They're pricing in the nightmare of living in a construction zone while trying to work from home, and the premium of hiring contractors who are probably already booked out for 6 months anyway.
So the penalty is systemic. It is an exponential penalty for the risk and the hassle the buyer is absorbing.
Which raises a very important question for any seller right now.
Which is?
Do you spend $20,000 of your own cash to fix the house before listing it, to make it perfectly turnkey? Or do you list it as is and risk losing $50,000 on the final sale price?
That is a brutal calculation to have to make.
It is, but the data from May heavily suggests that trying to pass the renovation buck to the buyer is a mathematically losing strategy right now.
Okay, so having dissected May's closed sales, the bidding wars over perfection, and the massive headache taxes for flaws, we need to look at what is actually available for a buyer walking into the Kingston market today.
The current active inventory.
Yes. And I have to tell you, I read the MLS survey data for active listings 3 times to make sure I wasn't missing a page.
It's pretty shocking, isn't it?
I am in genuine shock at this data. So at the end of the month, there were only 4 active listings recorded in the survey.
For the entire town?
The entire town of Kingston. Just 4 single-family homes. And the median price of those 4 active listings is a staggering $1,170,000.
The ultimate consequence of a 1.36-month supply.
Absolutely. When you break down those 4 properties, the reality comes into sharp focus. 2 of those properties are in the $1 million to $1.5 million range. One is in the $1.5 million to $2 million range.
Leaving only one property under the $1 million mark.
Exactly one. It's in the $600,000 range, and it's a massive, but it has an average days on market of 238 days.
There's the bruised apple again.
So, wait, if you are a normal family looking for a, say, $700,000 home right now in Kingston, there is literally nothing available unless you want the one house that's been sitting unsold for almost 8 months.
That is the harsh reality. You are entirely sidelined.
Where is all the affordable inventory?
Well, it never actually sits on the active shelf. It is immediately absorbed into the pending status.
Ah, right, because of the 6-day turnaround.
Exactly. If you look at the survey, There were 13 properties stuck in pending at the end of May, and the median price for those pending homes is $760,000.
So the inventory exists, but it just evaporates instantly.
Right. Everything good gets swallowed up instantly, leaving only the ultra-luxury estates or the heavily stigmatized properties behind.
So the active listings you see online are basically just the statistical leftovers.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so before we wrap up, we've covered a lot of ground today. What is the big takeaway you want to leave everyone with?
I think the broader concept for you to ponder here is the idea of the missing middle.
The missing middle.
Yeah. When starter homes and accessible mid-tier homes functionally vanish from the active market because they are instantly consumed by cash-heavy buyers or bidding wars, it alters the fabric of the town.
Because normal folks just can't get in.
Exactly. With active inventory strictly consisting of million-dollar estates or extreme fixer-uppers, how will communities like Kingston maintain a balanced demographic in the coming decade?
That is a fantastic point. If the cost of entry is either winning a brutal bidding war or taking on an 8-month commercial-level rehab, you're filtering out young families, first responders, and anyone relying on a standard loan.
It's definitely something communities are going to have to reckon with soon.
Absolutely. Well, that gives us a lot to think about. If you have any questions about this episode, or if you are thinking about buying or selling a house anywhere on Boston's South Shore from Southie to Sagamore, give Jim Aldred a call. He would love to speak with you. Jim believes that people in transition often feel anxious about buying or selling a home, and he provides them with the guidance and security to help your family move on smoothly. Thanks for listening, and catch you on the next episode of the Pink Door Podcast.